Ahoy there folks, I'm Captain Benzie and welcome to another video for EVE Online. In today's video I want to take a look at the different monetization options available for EVE Online and sort of contrast this with EVE Echoes to talk about how this all actually works. So if you're an EVE Echoes player coming across to EVE Online, hopefully this will make sense. If you're a new EVE Online player, then hopefully as well this should clear up some of the questions you have about what all these different monetization options are. Now, I know, first and foremost, monetization is considered a dirty word in the gaming community, and it really shouldn't be. As much as, however we feel about the gaming industry, it is still an industry, and if games don't make money, then studios shutter and don't make more games. And if it's an online game, like EVE Online and EVE Echoes, then if it's not making money, the servers get shut down, because no business wants to be losing money. If these games don't make money, no one is going to sit there and just pay for them to exist because you, the players, didn't want to pay for them to exist, if that makes sense. So monetization, yes, it can be done badly, it can definitely be done right, and for the most part I believe that EVE, both EVE Online and EVE Echoes, get the vast majority of this right. There are definitely mistakes made on both sides and some things that I may disagree with and that you may disagree with, so the aim of this video is not to go over with what's good and what's bad, but just talk about what this is all doing, how it all works, and which ones are probably most likely to be of use to you. I'm going to try and keep this sort of as just to the facts, and this is a good one to buy for beginners and stuff like that, rather than, oh, I personally don't like this one. We're going to try and keep this as sort of factual and to the point as we can. Now, if you enjoy this video, please let me know, hit a like on it, sub to the channel, you know the drill by now. Anyway, let's jump in then to the monetization options for EVE Online. Now, when you first open up EVE Online, of course, you get your EVE launcher, which you can see here, and at the top we have the EVE store. There is some stuff in game we can talk about on this as well, but I'm not really going to cover that because you're going to come out of the game for the biggest part of this. We're going to click on EVE store and it will bring up something like this. Now, first and foremost is Omega. Omega and Alpha are your two different clone states in EVE. Same with EVE Online and EVE Echoes, both of them use this same kind of scenario. If you are playing for free, you are an Alpha clone. You have access to a lot of ships, to some skills, and to sort of basically everything that you want to dip your toes into the game. If you want to play the game completely free, you have access to a decent portion of the game. As you go further in though, you'll start seeing that certain skills, certain ships, and indeed certain functions of the game are locked behind Omega. If you're looking at the ship tree and you see this Omega symbol blocking the line between something you have and something you don't have, that means you need to be an Omega pilot to fly it. For example, things like the stealth bombers, the exploration frigates, those are both Omega locked ships. So you'll need to have Omega time in order to do that. Now, whereas in EVE Echoes, Omega can be purchased for as little as £5 a month, but has to be purchased on every individual character, here in EVE Online, your Omega time counts for the full account, which will cover all 3 characters if you have 3 characters. And you can see here, it's a similar sort of price when you work it out that way. There's no basic, standard, and duo Omega here in EVE Online, it is just Omega. You buy 1 month of Omega for $15, which is the same price as a month of Duo Omega. But remember, this does cover 3 clones. This means if you buy 1 month of Omega, all 3 of your clones are now Omega clones for the duration of that month, and they will all have access to the full skill training queue. All of the different skills in the game will become unlocked and available for them. The ships, as I mentioned before, all the ships that were locked behind Omega are available to fly, and there are more features here like exporting from planetary colonies, gain full access to contract system, similar kind of things that you'd expect compared to EVE Echoes. It's ultimately you can play the game completely free, but in a limited sense. You can then buy Omega in order to unlock absolutely everything. Now in EVE Echoes, you can buy 3 Omega for $5 a month. That would give you $15 a month as the same here. Now obviously in EVE Echoes as well, we have like the Duo and Standard Omega as well, which can be up to $15 per clone, meaning you can spend $45 a month on Omega in EVE Echoes, but there is one thing we haven't covered yet in EVE Online, and that is the MCT, or the Multiple Character Training License. Basically, this again is $15 worth of Plex, and you buy this and it will give you a month to allow you to level up all 3 of your characters side by side. Normally in EVE Online, if you want to be leveling up 2 characters, you have to stop one of them so that the other one can continue. Only one of your clones can be leveling up at a time as standard. You buy Omega for the account, and even if the account is Omega, you can still only level 1 clone at a time. If you want to be leveling all 3 clones separately, like you've got an industrial alt or a spy or whatever, you will need the multiple character training license in order to do so. Now that means that basically, if you want to have 3 characters with the game completely unlocked and all 3 are training, you're going to need a month of Omega and you're going to need the multiple character training license, working out at about $30 a month. Now again, comparing this to EVE Echoes, if you put basic Omega on all 3 characters, that's $15 and the game is fully available to you. In EVE Online, that same minimum requirement is going to be $30, but in EVE Echoes, if you wanted to also go for the Duo Omega, you could ultimately end up spending up to $45 a month, which obviously is more than the $30. So EVE Online does fall kind of in the middle of those 2 monetization systems. And just like EVE Echoes, of course, you can buy your Omega in bulk, which will save a certain amount of dollar value off that as well. Like if you're to buy an entire 12 months of Omega, it's going to save you $48 rather than buying the 1 month 12 times. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, of course, again, like in EVE Echoes, we also have the ability to buy Plex directly, whereas in EVE Echoes you actually buy Aurum and then you convert the Aurum into Plex. Here you do just buy the Plex directly. Now, it's easy to say that, hang on a second, if we look at this, 110 Plex is $4.99, in EVE Online, EVE Echoes, it's 125 Plex for $4.99. Hang on, why is EVE lower? Remember, they're 2 completely different markets. Ultimately, there's more stuff you can actually buy with Plex in EVE Online. You've got all kinds of stuff, including personal character customization, which is pretty cool. But ultimately, they're 2 different markets, and what is $5 of Plex here is probably about the equivalent of $5 worth of Plex in EVE Echoes as well. I don't really recommend buying Plex all that much. Ultimately, you can see here, it'll say you can exchange it for Omega, trade it for ISK, and shop in the NES store. Very much similar to how we have in EVE Echoes, in that you can buy your monthly Omega using ISK. Using Plex, so you can buy Plex on the market using ISK in-game. You use your in-game ISK to buy Plex off the market that other players are selling, and then you can use that to buy your monthly Omega. It does work out slightly more expensive than just buying, if you would go here and basically go for, none of these line up annoyingly, but when you work it out, if I were to go for 3 of these $4.99 packs, which is about $15, I wouldn't have enough Plex to buy a month of Omega. It is better, slightly, to buy Omega directly in packs like this if you want to spend real money on it. Obviously, if you're able to earn the ISK to buy the Plex in-game, it's a way to get your monthly subscription completely for free. And remember that if your subscription does happen to subside here in EVE Online, like in EVE Echoes, you can still play the game. You can still log in, you can still fly any ships that are not Omega locked, you can still be using and benefiting from skills that are not Omega locked, you can still play the entire game and functions that are not Omega locked. So if you do happen to miss your subscription for a month, like you don't have enough to pay for it with ISK, and you don't want to swipe your credit card this month, well, you can just keep grinding in-game, earn the ISK to buy the rest of the Plex, and then activate it again at your leisure. You'll still be able to log in, still be able to talk with your friends, and still be able to fly in fleets, just in a reduced version. Now, the reason I say I don't really like buying Plex like this, I don't recommend buying Plex like this, is because if you want to spend real money and get Plex, I think the packs are usually a better option. Now, most of these are limited to 1. You'll see I'm not logged in here at the moment, because the second I log in, half of these are going to disappear, because some of these I have already bought myself, like the Silver Starter Pack. These can be really powerful, useful things to help you get off the ground in the game as you want. So take a look at that Silver Starter Pack just to start with. Here we have a $20 pack, so this is a little bit more than a month of Omega. and it's going to give you 30 days of Omega, so you've got that month included. You've spent $5 more than that 30 days Omega, but you're getting an additional 250,000 skill points and 8 semiotic superliminal skins. And if you've watched my video on the Thrasher, that's where I got the skin from. It is a beautiful skin, and when they say 8, it's because you get it for the Thrasher, the Cormorant, the Coercer, the Catalyst, the Rifter, the Incursus, the Merlin, and the Punisher. Those are your 8 skins there. So it's 8 of the most basic frigates and destroyers that you're likely to be using early on in the game, along with 250,000 skill points. 8 skins and 250,000 skill points for $5. Because basically you're buying the 30 days Omega and paying $5 extra for all of this. I think that's a really good value. I love these skins to pieces, and that 250,000 skill points gives you such an excellent start. There's also the bronze version of this, which is only 7 days of Omega, so it's a lot less exciting in regards to the Omega. 100,000 skill points, and then just the frigate versions of those skins, which still look really cool. But it's a nice way to sort of dip your toes in. If you're trying EVE Online, you want to see what Omega's like, but you don't want to spend a whole ton, this is one of the cheapest ways to do it. It's cheaper than buying a whole month, and you do get some cool skins out of it. So if at the end of it you go, oh, actually, I really like this, you can top up and get the 30 days on top of that. If you don't like it, you've only spent $10, is how I look at that one. Then there's the Gold Pack. Now the Gold Pack again is pretty good value. We've got 60 days Omega time, which is the equivalent of about $30. So we're then spending $20 to get 240 plex, 500,000 skill points, and 12 skins, adding in the Omen, the Caracal, the Rupture, and I think that's the Thorax. It's a bit of a weird one, because I'm used to Eve Echoes, and the 4 ships there would be like the Omen, the Caracal, the Vexor, and the Stabber. Here it's a little bit different. It's those 4. You can see here, you can actually come down. I should have just done that rather than trying to figure out. Yeah, there we are, Thorax semiotic skin. Now I've got to admit that the Rupture one does also look really quite cool here. I like those semiotic skins. Just as an aside though, so just to calculate that, 60 days of Omega time is about $30. 240 plex, let's have a look at that, that's another $10. So there straight away is $40, meaning you're spending $10 extra to get 500,000 skill points and all of those skins, which is a great way to do it, I think. I think that gives you a lot of, again, if you're willing to spend the $50, that's a really good starter pack. All 3 of those I actually really like as starter packs, because they give you skill points to sort of give you a nice kickstart if you know what you're doing. If you're willing to drop $50 on the game, I'm assuming you know kind of what you want to achieve in EVE Online, and therefore that skill point is going to be useful. Here, okay, not so much, but that's why you only get 250,000, which you're probably going to dump into the stuff that you see on there. 100,000 skill points isn't overly much, but it's enough to kind of give you a kickstart with the frigates that you'll be flying as of that. It's worth noting as well that stuff like this also tends to come in with new events, because there is the Easter event called The Hunt on at the moment. They've got things like the Pod Hunter pack here, which if we have a look at this one, this is going to give us 100,000 skill points, 500 plex, an exclusive outfit here that you can equip to your character, so that your in-game character profile has a different outfit on it, which it's not much. I think it's a bit crazy sometimes. I've said before that EVE Online will sit you through like an hour-long character creation process to make a character image the size of a postage stamp. But I've got to say as well, these skins do look gorgeous. That Ace of Pod Hunters and Thrasher skin, I almost want to grab this just for that. The 500 plex is pretty nice as well. These tend to all be limited to 1 per account. So once you've bought them, you can't just keep buying these over and over and over again. Obviously the skins would be useless, but it's a way to get a lot of additional skill points and plex. And I haven't actually mentioned the Platinum one. May as well have a look at the big one here. 90 days Omega time, 3 months, that's $45 right there. 1,500 plex, what does that work out to? 1,500 plex is over $40 on its own, probably around about sort of the $50 mark there. So you're now looking at sort of $95, meaning then the 650,000 skill points, the Orca Radioactive Reclamation skin, and the Cerebral Accelerator are all completely additional. These things, by the way, Cerebral Accelerators increase your ability to learn skills. You earn more SP over a shorter period of time. It's basically what those do. There's a bit more to it than that, but for the scope of this video, that's all that matters. We then have the booster bundles at the bottom here. The starter and the training booster bundle are very similar. If we have a look at these again, it's like 1.5 million skill points to speed up your training with the Expert Cerebral Accelerator. So again, you're using those 1.5 million skills, and then you're going to be leveling up your other skills that little bit faster. The standard bundle as well is a little bit cheaper and gives you not quite as much. It's 500,000 here rather than 1.5 million. And they do have the best of skins. I will be completely honest, it kind of strikes me as a bit weird that they do these kind of packs, because, like, who out there, maybe again this is just me, but especially with EVE Online, how ships are locked behind certain skills. Like, obviously, if you want to be flying the Rattlesnake, you're going to need to have Caldari skills all the way up, same with like the Orthrus, but if you want to be flying the Thanatos, you need Galente skills, the Nyx needs Galente skills, the Loki needs Minmatar skills, so you need to be, I don't think anyone really in the game is going to have the skills to fly all 8 of these ships particularly well. It's going to be really niche, but I don't know, some people seem to really like these packs. I don't understand it, because to me that's just... there might be 1 or 2 of those ships that I fly, like having the Healer, the Rattlesnake, and the Orthrus and the Barghest kind of makes sense because those all are based on Caldari skills, but then who has Caldari skills, Minmatar skills, Galente skills, and like industrial skills all on the same character? I suppose you can then sell those skins on the store and stuff for additional money, but there we go. Anyway, let's move on. Expert systems is the next bit we can look at. These are a really interesting thing, and these are a very love it or hate it system. Now, on one hand, you get things like here, the Minmatar Explorer, instantly unlock hacking and exploration skills for a limited time. Essentially, you spend a couple of dollars here, and it will unlock all of those skills fully boosted for you, so that you can try out that particular playstyle, see if you like it, and then actually skill into it once this drops off. Now, the reason I say this is pretty controversial is because some of these, like, these are all pretty basic. The Caldari, Galente, Minmatar, and Amar Explorer, and the Mining Barge Operator, these give you just additional skills to try out a particular way of flying. And I like the fact that here the Advanced Mining Pack gives you Plex to buy a fitted mining barge and 7 days of upgraded skills to fly it. So it's kind of like I try it and go, oh, okay, this is quite cool, let's try it a bit more. And then you can actually buy the skills and sort of inject them later on and train them up properly. What I don't like here is that when we come down to some of these lower ones, these ones here, these $2.49, essentially Mindstorm experience, explore the unknown with a fitted frigate, 7 days of updated skills, and Plex. I think these actually give you the frigate, which a lot of people don't like because essentially it's making a ship out of nothing. These ones I don't mind too badly because it's just the basic frigates, the Probe, the Heron, the Immicus, and the Magnate, which you actually get as part of your like starter training anyway in the game. If you're going through the tutorials, the agent missions, they will give you one of those ships completely for free anyway, so you're just getting another one of those. They're not ships that sell on the market particularly much anyway, so I don't mind it much. There was a recent kickstorm, I think it was an Orca that they were selling fully fitted, and the community lost their minds at it, and well, they changed that, thank goodness. I think CCP also massively apologised and said, yeah, okay, we won't try that again, which is fair. I think it's, you know, fair for a developer to make a mistake, people to call them out on it, and as long as the developer puts their hands up and says, okay, fair point, we're sorry, then, like, that's it, move on. As long as they don't do it again, obviously. Then we have daily alpha injectors. This is if you are adamant to stay as an alpha pilot, you can use these to get yourself additional skill points over a few days, kind of like how we have our daily login rewards in EVE Echoes, but it is specifically boosted for alphas. Like if you're a mega, you won't use these, which is a little bit confusing, and quite frankly, I still don't quite get it, because when it comes down to it, I'd rather just be a mega, but I suppose there is the whole you could be alpha and use all of these additional skill points to give yourself a really nice head start. I mean, $7.49 for 500,000 skill points is cheaper than the other packs we saw earlier. Then you go Omega later on, and once you can't buy these anymore. Then, of course, we have the other side of that, which is skill extractors. In EVE Online, once you have reached a certain point, like, you know, heck, if you want to just be a frigate main, by the time you've got all of the frigate skills you could ever possibly need, skill points are still going to be accruing, you're still going to be earning skill points, but what the hell do you do with them? Well, in EVE Online, you can use skill extractors to take unwanted skill points out of your character and then sell them on the market. This actually works in a couple of different ways. You can use this like we have our reskilling and respecking in EVE Echoes to take the skill points out of existing skills on your character and then put them back in on other skills, or as I said, you can actually take them out and sell them on the market, and these things sell for a lot. Like, each of these gives about 500,000 skill points, and they're selling on the market for anything upwards of like 650 million ISK a pop. So it's a really good way of making a bit of ISK on the side if you don't have any use for your skill points anymore. It has been nerfed a lot from where it once was. It used to be quite lucrative to just make an alt, buy these, and then sell them on the market and make a whole ton of money. But essentially they have nerfed it down just a little bit now. It's also worth noting that the more skill points you as a player have, once you hit a certain threshold, they stop giving you 500,000. If I were to inject one now, I think it pops up with a warning that I only get 400,000 if I wanted to use a skill injector, because of course I've bought a lot of these packs that we were talking about earlier. I've earned a lot of skill points through that on this recent account. But ultimately, yeah, the further you go into the game, the less effective skill extractors become. They're designed to be a catch-up mechanic, which means that if I want to join the game now and I want to get involved with some friends that I've known for a long time who play EVE Online, it's going to be a long time if I just skill up normally. Like, they might not mind, they might be happy for me to just fly around in some frigates and some destroyers early on and help them out with stuff that way, but if I really want to jump into the Silent Rose, into my Hurricane nice and quickly, for example, then I can just grab skill injectors off the market. They can use skill extractors and earn some ISK that way and help me out. I can use the packs, etc. to catch up, get to where I want to be, start flying what I want to fly, and start doing what I want to do. And that's basically all of your options here. Now, ultimately, Omega is, of course, the most important thing for your character. You need to have Omega to have the full game unlocked. And if you have multiple characters that you want to be training at the same time, again, the multiple character training license is going to be a necessity as well. And both of those can be bought for Plex in the game as well by opening up the NES store there and scrolling through that alongside all the skins and sort of stuff that you can dress your character up in. So most importantly, of course, is going to be getting the MCT and Omega time onto your account. Whether you do that through direct purchase like this, or whether you do it through some of these packs, is entirely up to you. Personally, I think that the Silver Starter Pack is probably one of the best value things you can grab early on, alongside the Gold Starter Pack. The Bronze and the Platinum have their place. I'll be honest, dropping $100 into a game early on feels a bit weird, and later on, yeah, okay, fair enough. By the time you're actually flying the barges and that here, yeah, you might think that $100 is something you're willing to drop to get 3 additional months and a whole ton of Plex, etc., plus those skill points. The starter pack, again, excellent for dipping your toes in the water, but these two are the ones that I just think are the best value. By the time you look at, you know, how much you're spending and what you're getting, these two feel like the best and most obvious ones for me, at least. You might disagree, and if you do, awesome, let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to know your personal thoughts and opinions on this as well. But otherwise, folks, that's the monetization in EVE Online. I wanted to sort of look at it alongside EVE Echoes and say this is how it works in one and in the other, but it's very much up to you whether you think this is better or worse, and it's an individual kind of thing. Like, as I said, in EVE Echoes, theoretically, you can have 3 characters fully, 3 characters with the full game unlocked. All of them are able to skill up with just $5 a month for each character, so $15, whereas if you want that same setup in EVE Online, it's going to cost you $30, but equally, if you wanted to have full 3 characters fully skilling up in EVE Echoes, it's going to cost you more than EVE Online. So it kind of win some, lose some, and there's all kinds of different options, and I hope this video has ultimately been helpful. Anyway, I'm on the verge of rambling onwards now, so I hope this has been useful. Let me know what you think, folks. Happy sailing, and see you in New Eden!